Welcome to Token Topics. I hope everybody's doing great. Stellar XLM's the topic. We're going to dive into a Q4 review report. We have some awesome information that we're going to go over. We're going to hear from Danielle Dixon and Justin Rice on the development of the Stellar blockchain ecosystem. If you're a fan of Stellar, you don't want to miss this update. I'm also going to go over how you could potentially win $20 in XLM. It's important to note that I'm not paid for or sponsored by the Stellar Development Foundation. With that out of the way, let's begin. Guess what, everybody? You have a chance to receive $20 cash back in XLM simply from purchasing a DCENT Biometric wallet. 5 lucky winners will be drawn from the list at the end of February to receive $20 in XLM. To enter, all you simply do is purchase a DCENT Biometric wallet from a Token Topics affiliate link. You can see it in the description of any video. After you fill out the form, you just submit it. Winners will be announced March 1st, and the funds will be sent out the first weekend of March by the end of the weekend. Good luck. Education is extremely important for future generations. You can help a child by donating towards their educational needs. Arise the Orphan Children is accepting much needed donations to supply school materials for orphans. Emmanuel Musazi is head of the orphanage. I've known him for several years, and he is a very trustworthy, honest man, truly working hard to make a difference in these children's lives and in the world, to give them an opportunity. So if you're interested in helping, in the description is a link to their website. There's different ways you can donate. Thank you. All right, everybody, we got the Q4 review in. We're going to go over an exciting report and see the developments going on with Stellar. We're going to hear not only from Danielle Dixon, but we're also going to hear from Justin Rice. We're also going to check out network activity and growth, and also asset transaction volume and a lot of different statistics. Also, we're going to hear about Protocol 20, the slight delay. Keep in mind that Sorbonne update is the biggest upgrade to date for Stellar. So, bugs and fixes, that's normal. So we're going to hear a lot more from Justin Rice and Danielle Dixon. So let's go ahead and roll it.
It was an active quarter and a tremendous year. We'll dig into all of it. First up, some highlights from Q4. So last quarter, the network processed over 92 million payments and over $1.3 billion in relevant asset transaction volume, which is pretty awesome. Over 3 rounds this quarter, the Stellar Community Fund awarded almost $4 million worth of lumens to 88 projects. And thanks in part to the support provided by SCF and by the Stellar community as a whole, we have officially reached 100% of project types represented in the Sorbonne minimum viable ecosystem, which is a huge feat and super important to do this before its launch. We published a paper aimed at policy audiences, making the case for the value of open systems and advocating for further adoption of them. And last but not least, we commemorated the 1-year anniversary of Stellar Aid Assist, and as of January, celebrated $2 million dispersed by the UNHCR into Ukraine. When we kicked off 2023, we said that we would be relentlessly focused on utility to grow the network. And with the collaboration of this awesome ecosystem, I'd say we delivered on that goal, and we'll build on that momentum for 2024. I'll be back in a bit, but for now, I'm going to kick it over to Justin, who's going to walk us through network stats and building block number 1.
Great. Thank you, Danielle. Hi, everyone. I'm Justin Rice, VP of Ecosystem. I'm here to report on some key network stats and also to give an update on what we've done this quarter to make innovation easy and scalable. Let us start with a look at the numbers. So first, let's check in on network activity and growth. The first metric, total accounts. In Q4, total accounts were at about 7.8 million, which is a 5% increase compared to the same time last year. The second metric, total number of payments. There were 92 million payments compared to 46 million in the same quarter last year. So more payments, more people using the network to make payments. That is what we want to see. The average daily DEX volume this quarter was about 9 million lumens worth per day, which is a decrease from Q4 last year. And total operations count was also down. So operations on Stellar, that's any function that changes the ledger state. So that includes those payments. It also includes those buy and sell orders on the DEX. So the decreases in total operations is likely caused by the decrease in average daily DEX activity. And that can be partially attributed to a drop in non-payment related activity on the network. Essentially, from what we can tell, looking at network activity, a few siloed projects were hitting the decks pretty hard this time last year, and they eased up over the past few months. I do want to note that when you zoom out, there's still been a ton of network activity overall. In fact, the total number of operations processed on Stellar is now over 14 billion with a B. Also, with the launch of Sorbonne, you should expect to see new protocols that are being built by the ecosystem that open up new possibilities for liquidity provision and for asset conversion. And so these innovative solutions are likely going to impact some of these stats, maybe even give us some new stats to look at. So stay tuned, 2024. But now let's come back to 2023 Q4 and look at metrics for relevant assets. So we define relevant assets as assets tethered to real financial instruments, so fiat currencies, yen, euro, this kind of thing. Tracking these assets gives us a pretty good indication of how well Stellar is actually doing connecting global financial systems. The on-network transaction volume of relevant assets grew by 337% year over year. That transaction volume includes activity attributable to like a lot of wallets like RTM and Vibrant that are bringing more activity to the network, which is a great thing. In 2023 as a whole, relevant asset transaction volume totaled over $2.5 billion worth, which is about 184% increase compared to 2022. That is a positive growth trend that we've seen year after year for the last few years, and it shows that the network increasingly does connect people to the global financial system. The last set of metrics measure the decentralization of the network. Now, decentralization plays a critical role in the health and success of the network, and so we continue to monitor the number of nodes and the average ledger close times to see how the network is holding up. So first, let's look at the number of tier 1 validator nodes. So these are nodes that are run by organizations that have gained a high level of network trust. They're essential to network health and resilience. Currently, the network has 23 tier 1 validator nodes. And outside of tier 1, the total number of network nodes, according to StellarBeat, which is an independent network explorer that tracks these kinds of things, is 108. Reliably, as expected, ledgers continue to close in a little over 5 seconds, which is excellent to see given the transaction volume, the number of payments we've seen this year move through the network. Okay, next up. Here's a quick reminder of our 2023 roadmap and the 3 building blocks before we jump into each one. This is the last time we'll reference this particular roadmap during our quarterly calls. And right now we're going to turn to building block 1, which is focused on making innovation easy and scalable. It has been the priority for the quarter and for the year. All right, we are getting close to Sorbonne launch on mainnet. If you've been following our channels over the last couple of weeks, you'll know there have been some recent updates on the timeline after feedback and discussion with the ecosystem. And so rather than just focus only on Q4, we're also going to touch a little bit on what's ahead. Here's where things currently stand. In response to ecosystem feedback about a bug discovered in Stellar Core v20.1.0 last week, which could have affected a very narrow slice of the ecosystem, namely applications that use fee bumps to sponsor Sorbonne transactions. So in response to that bug, Stellar Network validators proposed postponing the vote to upgrade the Stellar mainnet to Protocol 20 and ultimately opted to. That delay should be pretty brief. In fact, already those validators have proposed a rain date for the upgrade vote, which is February 20th. And operators of network infrastructure are already starting to get ready for it. So here's the new projected timeline. Looks kind of like this. February 2nd, that's tomorrow. Stellar Core 20.2 release, the release candidate will come out. That's the updated software that supports Protocol 20 and fixes that bug. On February 6th, we'll deploy that to the testnet. That requires a testnet reset. So if you use testnet, please take note, there's a testnet reset Tuesday. Make sure you are ready to recreate all your testnet data, all part of the rollout. On February 9th, the Core 20.2 stable release will be ready, and we're going to remind all core operators to grab it as soon as possible. February 20th, validators are planning to vote on the Protocol 20 upgrade. So if a quorum of validators armed for the upgrade, that upgrade happens immediately, thus commencing phase 0. Phase 0, I'll talk about a bit more in a minute. But I just want to note before I do that upgrading the network is not something that SDF does alone, right? Validators, they make their own decisions. It's part of this open source, open participation community. It's a collective ecosystem effort as we progress along the timeline. And so we need your help. We need your participation. And we will continue to communicate with all of you, the ecosystem validators, Stellar fans, Sorbonne boosters, as we make our way to mainnet. For now, just make sure to check out our blogs from the past week for additional context and details, and definitely see the Protocol 20 upgrade guide for up-to-date info and links to relevant releases. All right. Protocol 20 upgrade February 2nd, 20th. What happens after a protocol upgrade vote if it goes through? Well, in addition to voting on protocol version, validators also vote on network settings, including the settings that determine how many net new Sorbonne transactions can get added to each ledger. So I mean net new because the addition of Sorbonne transactions, the Sorbonne transactions are added to the non-Sorbonne transactions, the transactions that rely entirely on built-in Stellar operations, those continue as normal. So the plan is to introduce those Sorbonne transactions in phases, to start by allowing a small amount of smart contract activity, and then to gradually increase the amount once it's clear that things are stable. Phased rollout. Phase 0, which begins immediately following a positive validator vote, is designed to allow network operators to observe the network after the upgrade. It is not intended for developers to deploy contracts, so it's operator observation. In Phase 1, builders gain the ability to deploy contracts on mainnet for testing. So this is intended for developers to deploy contracts, test readiness, and for network operators to gauge the impact of smart contracts on network performance. And then finally, Phase 2 marks the deployment of a user-ready mainnet where contracts can support regular usage. One thing I just want to say real quick about the slight delay in the plan is that, bugs are a part of normal software development, and Sorbonne is by far the biggest and most complex protocol upgrade to date. So the question wasn't whether there'd be bumps along the way, it was just how we as an ecosystem came together to work through them. And I think it's really great that we were able to convene and coordinate and adjust plans so quickly. And I also just want to assure you that, to ensure the robustness of Sorbonne in preparation for the mainnet launch vote, the SDF engineering team has worked in Q4, and even before that, but worked in Q4 to increase test coverage of the Sorbonne stack, completed internal and external audits of the Sorbonne runtime, and we will be sharing more about that.
Your assets, your crypto safe. Purchase a DCENT wallet through Token Topics affiliate link in the description of every video, and you can receive an incredible discount. Thank you everybody for watching another edition of Token Topics. If you did enjoy it, please subscribe so you can stay up to date with future content. Thank you.